Ascent Podcast.
Hey everyone, Matthew here. Before we begin today's show, I just want to remind everyone of this month's sponsor, Whale Street. Whale Street is the DeFi engine that powers NFT economics on a massive scale. They make huge currency swaps happen, or whale swaps as they're called, with very small slippage costs and without crashing the system. They also engineered the largest ever NFT bundle and fractionalized it into the historic B20 tokens. Whale Street is all about upside, so dip into the liquidity pools for rich rewards. For B20, join discord.com/whale. That's discord.com/WHALE. And follow Whale Street on Twitter @WhaleStreetOFFL. Thank you and enjoy the show. Hey everyone, it's Matthew. Welcome back to another episode of the Matthew and Rizzle Show. This week, Rizzle and I had Ben and Mango on from Charged Particles. Charged Particles is taking NFTs to the next level. They're using NFTs as a sort of wallet where folks can deposit any digital asset, whether it be another NFT or an interest-bearing asset like Aave tokens. We get into the nuts and bolts of the project, talk about the origin story, where it's going, and their latest approach, using artists and cryptoart as a way to demo the possibilities that Charged Particles presents. Super exciting project. They have a great approach to community. Mango's hilarious. Look out for the Thunderdome reference. But without further ado, please enjoy the conversation that Rizzle and I had with Ben and Mango from Charged Particles. Okay, Ben, Mango, welcome to the Matthew and Rizzle Show.
Hey guys, happy to be here.
It's a pleasure.
Cool. So to get started, really excited to dig into your guys' background. If you can introduce yourselves a little bit, talk about what you've done professionally up until starting Charged Particles. I think that's a great way to get started, and then kind of unveil and take the hood off of what Charged Particles is for us.
Nice. Yeah, I'll start with an intro, and then I'll let Mango do an intro, and then we'll dive a bit more into Charged Particles. So my background's in finance, corporate finance, M&A, and then private equity. Jumped into blockchain in 2016, went full-time into it in 2017. Actually, I had started in blockchain via an angel investment in a crypto exchange in Thailand. I was living in Thailand at the time. Ended up building a company that was doing trading tools for crypto traders. We ended up doing an ICO in 2017, right in the midst of the speculative fervor that was 2017. Ran that company for a couple of years, never really ended up with product market fit, scaled it to 20,000 users and learned a lot ultimately, but failure never feels good for the ego, I suppose. And then over the past year and a half or so, have been consulting, advising young startups in the space, crypto space, and then got involved with Rob Secord at Charged Particles last summer, so July of 2020, in the Gitcoin kernel Web3 virtual accelerator. So highly recommended for the listeners if you're interested in Web3, either as a builder or just curious. Definitely shout out to the Gitcoin kernel people. I think they're launching another cohort here soon. So I'm still a massive supporter of that program. I'm a mentor in the program now, and that's where Rob and I began. So I'll pass it over to Mango, and then I'll go into a bit more detail on Charged Particles.
Yeah, cheers. My name's Mango. I'm the community manager with Charged Particles. And just as a bit of background, I come from the art world mostly. All sorts of art, really. Starting in New York City, working in film for a little while, and most recently, prior to this, was developing art communities in Shanghai, bringing people together to do a lot of pretty interesting events, performances, experiences, that kind of stuff. And I found my way into the NFT space maybe 6 months ago or something like that. And and since then have moved into Charged Particles, and really excited to start doing some more Metaverse events and building that whole world up.
Oh yeah. So charged particles, we just launched last week. So this is being recorded on Tuesday, February 23rd. So we launched last Wednesday, which it feels like forever. It's like dog years at this point. Yeah. So I guess starting kind of back at the beginning, Rob Secord, this has been his dream, his baby since fall of 2019. As early as then, he was talking about it, dreaming, kind of tinkering on this idea of having an NFT able to hold other assets. So originally, the idea was kind of sparked from the idea of a gift card that the balance is growing and a portion of this could go to charity or things like that, but quickly morphed into the ability for like an in-game item to hold a value and grow in value as time ticks on. So it had the fun marriage of DeFi and NFTs long before this was really cool. I mean, Rob had a proof of concept out in May of 2020. So I started kind of talking to him in July, and really he fed me enough of the Kool-Aid to kind of see the potential of this thing. So both of us went full-time on it in October, and we recently announced the closing of our seed round, have expanded the team quite a bit. Mango has been an invaluable addition to the team and is just doing a fantastic job growing the community and all that he does, that's for sure. But kind of getting a little ahead of myself with what it is we do. So Charged Particles enables users to turn their NFT into a basket or a container that's able to hold other tokens. So these other tokens can be any sort of ERC20 token, speculative tokens, social tokens, LP tokens. And then we have an integration with Aave. So for instance, if you deposit DAI into your NFT, so what it's doing, it's giving your NFT a smart wallet that enables it to hold these other tokens. But then this DAI is converted to a DAI, and the interest is completely programmable. So a portion can go to you, the creator. A portion can go to a third-party wallet like a charity. It really gives you this a lot of flexibility with what you're able to do with these assets that are owned by your NFT. So we're really excited. It's just launched. Gas prices are expensive, but yeah, we're happy to have this thing out in the wild. That's for sure.
Yep. Ben, I got a question for you before we sort of zoom in, and I'm very, very interested in what you see being like the most practical applications of this concept and everything. But I've been thinking a lot about this lately, and this is a great example of a project where if you weren't around in 2017, in the thick of it all, doing some real stuff, like this is not like the type of project where someone walks in the door and comes up with this concept. And, having been sort of through the heyday already and, come out the other side, I'm just interested, like from your perspective, like what the landscape looks like from then until now with, people building and creating and everything. Like, do you see a lot of like the same people who have like sort of weathered the storm, or is it like a whole new landscape filling out here? Or what's like your bird's eye view look like now compared to then?
Yeah, great question. I mean, it's funny because I mean, I have this like chat group that we put together in Q1 of 2017. I mean, it started with 3 of us in WhatsApp. We migrated to Telegram, and at this point, there's 40 of us in there, and we've been chatting we like in the midst of the bear market. We started doing Zoom calls where we just like hang out and have virtual beers, because these became some of my closest friends. And the fact that we've literally just been hanging out in a chat room, like in a chat group for nearly 4 years at this point, and it's the same kind of group of people, it's pretty darn hilarious. So I think there's a lot of the same people. I mean, I once heard Bitcoin explained as the mind virus, because once you start thinking about it, you can't stop thinking about it, and you start questioning everything. And I think it's so accurate. I mean, it's very difficult to kind of see the light and then walk away from the space. And yeah, I lose faith in the space overall, like anybody does. I'm emotional. I question my decision to put, my career in this space. But it is evolving. It is growing. I mean, we have people like DeFi Dad. Travis is one of our advisors for Charge Particles. And he's like commenting in our advisor chat that Mark Cuban is following him and retweeting him and liking his tweets. And it's like, okay, this time it's different, TM. It does feel different. There's a lot of interest. And then the NFT space is kind of a whole different world than kind of the trading exchange space. So I'm really enjoying it. Mango is opening my eyes to like the more artistic side of things, because ultimately, I mean, Charge Particles is a protocol that's NFT agnostic. So any NFT can be energized, or you can deposit tokens into it. But right now the DApp that we have is art focused. So I'm really enjoying talking to these artists, talking to these people that know so much about NFTs, and giving them these tools via Charge Particles to kind of do more with their crypto art.
So I'm super curious to kind of dig down into, I guess, what you were just talking about, right? Focusing Charge Particles on NFT art or crypto art. So I'm curious, like, what is your point of departure for that? And like, where do you see the next 6 to 12 months going in terms of focusing on the NFT art with Charge Particles?
Yeah, so I'll jump into that, but actually before I do, so we just had a massive launch party last week. So if your Token Smart people are listening, like hopefully a lot of them attended, but I'll have Mango talk a bit about that, and then I can talk about kind of a roadmap for the DApp for the art market. I think that might be helpful.
Perfect.
Yeah, I think it's actually a good jumping off point as well, like to talk about some of the interesting and unique NFTs that were on display and on sale at the event as well. Just as a few examples of where the space might go and what kind of possibilities the protocol enables. But the event was amazing, and like such big props to the Token Smart team, and an amazing partnership that I'm looking forward to following up on in future endeavors and stuff. I think it was a pretty excellent turnout, and I'm really excited to be making some more events with you guys. But I think you showed me there was more than 1,100 people in the Discord or something like that, and nearly 2,000 unique visitors to the crypto voxel space. And at one point I was up on the mic. I hadn't slept very much, but at one point all of the people all the avatars vanished, and I had a brief moment of panic before I realized, like, oh, this was probably actually a good thing. We like crashed crypto voxels at least once, so that was pretty amazing.
Kudos for that.
Yeah. I think we had 15 artists, 7 of which were featured in the Charge Particles NFT gallery set up by Richard Dixon. And in that hour and a half event, they brought in more than 100 ETH for just the artists, which is just amazing. Just another instance of like, wow, NFTs are really here to stay. And I think some of the more interesting use cases presented by some of those artists. Actually 2 different artists are like linking their NFTs with physical paintings. I'm not sure if you saw the video on Twitter, but Elena's painting, you can scan over with your phone, and it reads the RFID chip or what is whichever kind of chip it is embedded in the paint, and it'll pull up the NFT. Jihoon Yao has a similar thing going on with a QR code display, and 35% of all of the interest being generated by the NFT portion of this sort of linked piece of art, is going to charity all the time. And just that possibility alone is pretty awesome. We also had our live musicians, IMT, released one of their EPs, and one of the NFTs came with distribution rights. You could call it like a sort of an early phase pseudo record deal NFT, in which the NFT holds within it the rights to distribute the music on it. And like building functionality out where, for example, you might say put a music NFT inside another NFT that's a digital asset, that could then start playing it in Somnium space, for example. It's like, oh, I bought this record player NFT and I bought this album NFT, and through Charged Particles, I can deposit it inside and then play it in my space, something like this, all with provable ownership. And some of the possibilities for like digital assets like this, not just in art, but in, game development and that kind of stuff is also pretty exciting.
So I got a question for you guys. I mean, this is really awesome because you guys are sort of like rolling out a concept, which I feel like also lends itself to like branding difficulties because it can extend in like so many different directions simultaneously. And you guys must have been in your chat group or like in the war room coming up with like a billion different use cases for this concept. So like what would be like, what's in your like bag of tricks that you guys are like personally hoping will be introduced through this concept? Or, you know what I'm saying? There must be like some video game that you play on the side that you're like, oh my God, if we could, once we get beyond like unrolling the big concept and whatever, it'd be dope if like I could just like roll in this thing into this thing or something like that. Like, is there anything on your guys' personal short list that you really want to see this concept being adopted by?
Mango, you want to start and then I can go?
Yeah. It's hard to whittle it down. You've pretty much hit the nail on the head. I think we have a shared Google Doc that's just this like 2 or 3 page long list of like this crazy idea and this crazy idea. And it's like, what about this? Geocaching and, battles with swords so you can steal interest from each other, like
I believe
so like I don't know, I'm trying to think of some of my favorite ideas in the context of events that can bring people together, like what kinds of things can we center the use case around so that we can throw an amazing event around it. So let's see, I mean, I've got 2 in mind. One I've sort of just like pointed to is this like functional music playing stuff. But another one is I really want to host a Thunderdome in which we have artists like battle to the death with their art, fighting off against each other and, like taking charge from one another. So I've
Yes.
So we're currently,
we should hang out more, dude. I'm glad your default thing is like battle to the death.
Yeah, I'm like I've literally got my crazy sort of like Mad Hatter ringleader outfit ready for this. There's going to be video content. It's going to be glorious. But I'm currently organizing our second round of featured artists, and I've told them that like get to know each other pretty well, because when it comes to the Thunderdome, you guys are going to be on the same team, and you're going to have to fight the other waves of featured artists. So that's
nice.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But,
so
anyway,
we've actually got an article that's titled "The Possibilities for Unlimited Creativity with Charged Particles," where we kind of dive down a few of these different rabbit holes, because being NFT agnostic, I mean, it's almost easier to say what is a fungible token and then categorize everything else as a non-fungible token. So that's very, very broad. And, Mango alluded to a few of them, like in-game items, tickets, e-gift cards. There's a lot. And I think the financial use cases of this potentially could be the killer DApp, but we certainly get a lot more excited about some of the more fun esoteric ones, that's for sure. And then I wanted to quickly touch on, you'd asked about kind of roadmap features for the art DApp. So right now we are live on layer 1. It's expensive. We are adding support for, so we stripped out a lot of the features for launch just to make it easier to kind of get it out there more quickly, making sure it's battle tested. So we removed the option for people to deposit any token into their NFT. So right now you're limited to anything that's traded or borrowed or lent on Aave. So just these yield bearing assets. So we'll roll out support for any token. So you can paste any ERC20 contract. So this opens up the door for social tokens, LP tokens. We'll add support for NFTs. So you can deposit an NFT within an NFT. And all of these things are programmable. So you can time lock them. Each particular token can be time locked for a different period of time. We are looking at additional yield sources. So right now, just Aave, but does it make sense to add support for something like Compound? So you can program the interest that's generated from these Compound tokens. And then obviously layer 2 is a big push. So investigating the other layer 2 options and thinking about, how can we make this a more pleasant experience for our users so they're not paying hundreds of dollars in gas every time they're interacting with it.
And just one more thing I wanted to chime in as well. You kind of asked, with such a broad range of use cases, how do you decide what to focus on? I've sort of highlighted the things that I think are fun and interesting, but and correct me if I'm wrong, Ben, but I think really what we want to do is show people that this is a building block that can be integrated into what they want to build, and not just something that we'll be, providing dApps for necessarily, but something like, oh, you want to make this crazy functional game piece, or you have this idea about how the finance aspect can be worked into, X thing, take it and build with it as a piece, as a building block. And I think that's maybe a way to sort of spread out how the use cases get focused on.
Dude, it's really interesting because we've been in very similar situations in terms of rolling out concepts, and sometimes you do all the legwork of putting it all down on paper and figuring out exactly how to explain it to people, and then at the end of the day, the thing that facilitates the masses getting on board is some shit like Thunderdome battle to the death, art, artist
right?
thing.
So
because, it actually involves people getting their hands dirty and tinkering around with the concept in an interesting way. And then, people start realizing that there are alternative use cases for it. So Ben, dude, you sort of dodged my question, man. What's your Thunderdome of death, pie in the sky idea, or what's your what would you personally love to use it for, even if it is some finance stuff? What's your favorite use case?
I mean, the favorite use case really is, right now I'm super stoked on crypto art as a category. So I think just having these crypto art pieces with all of these different aspects. I think of a crypto artist with their own social token, locking these social tokens inside of it, locking them for a year, and just seeing what does that do to the value of this art. So how do you, I have a CFA, I come from a finance background. So unfortunately, Mango's the creative arm of this, and I stick to the boring number stuff.
Thunderdome.
That's why we work
art
really
is cool,
well
man.
together.
It's not a battle to the death, but it's cool.
But you have this scarce NFT, this piece of crypto art that right now it's got this value based on speculation or whatever it is people will pay for it. Well, what happens when you lock a WBTC in that? What happens when you lock 1,000 of your social token that don't have a liquid market into it? What happens when you lock somebody else's social token into it? What happens when there's a little bit of ADI that's generating interest, but a portion of that interest is going to a charity and a portion is going back to you, the creator? How do people discern the value of this art, and what does it do just to this crypto art market? And perhaps it's because I've been stuck in my echo chamber of a Clubhouse in the NFT art world lately. But hearing all of these artists get so interested and excited about what's happening within the NFT market, specifically for artists, it gets me really excited. So I would encourage people to check out that blog post, the creativity one, because there's a ton of really, really cool, fun options. So from a business perspective, I think the more financial ones probably make sense and might be solving a real problem. But for the, this is a crazy idea, it's just so crazy that it might work and be awesome, there's a lot of those as well.
So you kind of touched on, I think it was Mango earlier, talking about how some artists are kind of experimenting using charged particles to take physical art and kind of embed digital art into it, or at least an NFT. At Nifty Gateway, I've been speaking with so many artists and artist representatives and just other like projects in the space coming into NFT land and getting super excited about everything. And one of like, for folks that are uninitiated, a lot of times their mind immediately goes to combining NFTs with physical items and things like that. So I'm just curious, like based on your experience so far and like some of the ideas that you may have, I think Mango would be really interesting to hear your thoughts on this. Like where can Charged Particles take artists and other projects interested in the interplay between NFTs and physical objects?
I mean, it's a great question. I mean, I'll just like go back to highlight the use case of these paintings one more time. I mean, I think the embedded microchip is just wild, and I think that's like a super visceral experience that you don't need to have any idea what crypto art means to appreciate. And I think it's really possibly like a really good vehicle to onboard a lot of people into crypto space, especially, for example, with these paintings. You know, you scan it, it pulls up an NFT, and you're like, oh wow, cool, a JPEG. You don't really maybe understand what an NFT is, but if someone explains to you on your own phone that, hey, this piece of art is generating $350 for this charity every year, you know, while it sits on my wall at home, like that is easy to understand. And, you know, especially if, you know, like one of the artists, Jihoon Yao, it was his first NFT drop. And, you know, so some of his royalty or some of the interest it generated is going to the Save the Children fund, which you can donate to in crypto. But, you know, I'm trying to encourage him to build out just like a basic API, you know, that calls back to the Charged Particles NFT. So not only could you like pull up the Charged Particles NFT, but you could like, you know, have a button where people could donate fiat, donate crypto, put more crypto inside the art. You know, you can charge up somebody else's NFT. So like someone, you know, and that gives a lot more entryway for someone non-native to have a direct experience with NFTs, which is just one I think example. You know, how to integrate this kind of stuff with more digital or, you know, more physical items going forward. You know, it's like, you know, I've got some ideas, but I'd almost rather like just kind of put that out there and see what people come up with on their own. And maybe that's too much of a dodge for you, but
a little dodgy, but I feel like this is that creative white space that it's almost like no man's land. People are thinking about it, but nothing has really kind of clicked to kind of take them even further than, like, for example, like embedding RFID chips or something in physical art that links back to an NFT. It seems like there's something there and folks are just grasping at like what exactly that something is. So it's always, I'm just curious to see if there's anything extra that you guys could spill the juice on.
There's definitely something there. And that's what's so fun about this space, because it is a blank canvas and people are trying different things and people are going to find out different things. I mean, whenever you have a physical piece, it comes with a host of problems. Like if I buy this digital NFT that represents the art and then the person ships me that art and it gets destroyed in transit, like, okay, well, what happens to the digital now that the physical is kind of destroyed? Mm-hmm. Or if I mess it up somehow, like, and then I'm expected to transfer that on to the next person that buys the digital. So yeah, I think we're definitely still in the let's try things and figure them out space around this linking digital to physical.
I think there's an element here maybe as well of like, you know, the experience of art physically, you know, the kind of the emotions you might go through when you're witnessing a piece of art in the physical world is not necessarily the same as the physical sensation of owning a physical product, you know. And so there's this like, you know, this connection between the digital and the physical world. And there's as well the connection that's kind of being explored by the whole space between the art as an experience and the art as a product. And I think like that's a central part of the question that needs to be thought about. Not that I have a good answer to it at the moment, but just another thing worth thinking about.
No, this is all cool, man. I mean, obviously you guys already know with your spreadsheets or whatever that there's like a billion thought experiments and rabbit holes you could probably go down with this. But like, so let's say like, you know, I'm a me and I'm like listening to this and I'm like, all right, cool. I'm game to tinker around. Like I want to charge up my NFTs and start, you know, playing around with these concepts and getting my hands dirty and everything. Is that like something that, you know, the average, you know, podcaster or like, you know, person listening to this can do right now? Or like, you know, what would be like entry level, like, I'm curious to get my hands dirty with what they're talking about type of stuff?
Yeah, so the platform is live. We have some tutorials. We have some pretty good like FAQs helping you out. We're very, very active in Discord and Telegram, you know, if you have any issues. But yeah, for the average user, you can come to our platform. You can mint an NFT, so create an NFT and then energize it. So fill it up with tokens of your choice. So as I said, I mean, right now it's just Aave tokens. So anything that's supported by Aave, you have a link, it's converted to a link. You have USD Tether, it's converted to a USD Tether, and then it's able to generate an interest while being held by your NFT that you've created. So right now we are only allowing you can only energize or charge up, deposit these tokens into NFTs that are created on our platform, but we'll be quickly whitelisting other minting stations. So anything you've minted on Rarible, for instance, could then be charged up on Charged Particles. I mean, we don't aspire to be the world's best minting platform, but right now it's there, it's free, it's pretty user friendly, it's pretty cool. We do also have a marketplace, but we want to be that middle piece where you're taking your NFTs from other platforms, you're depositing tokens into them. And ultimately the vision is like, whenever you see an NFT, you should be asking, does this NFT have a charge? Does it contain other tokens? So that requires right now to go to our website and check it out. Like, okay, this NFT I'm looking at, does it have a WBTC inside of it? Well, that changes the value. So yeah, that's where we are right now.
And
So
just
cool.
as a note on that point, sorry, yeah, to interrupt. We really want people to be playing with this and exploring, and you know, we're happy to be featuring, you know, several times a week, if not every day, you know, pieces from new artists who have just come to the platform and, you know, hey, look, I loaded up my first NFT with Charge. Check this out, and then we'll, you know, blast it out. We want to show people as well. So artists that are looking for some platforming, that kind of stuff, we want to be hosting pieces on the daily.
I just wanted to say that it's just so insane what Ben had just said. Whenever anyone sees an NFT, he wants them to think, is there anything in there? Is it charged? And I think right now, a lot of people are coming around to the idea of like seeing a digital image, like whether they're scrolling through Instagram or wherever. And they're like, a lot of people are now starting to ask themselves, like, is this tokenized? Like, is this minted into an NFT yet? And I think what Charged Particles is doing, and a couple other projects that are just starting to pop onto the scene, is kind of take us even further down the rabbit hole of what's possible with NFTs in general, which is mind-blowingly insane. Like putting an NFT in an NFT in an NFT, it's like inception for NFT land right now, what you guys are sort of creating. And it's just like, it's mind-boggling to think about all of that. So like, but there is this lag and like lead time, I think, to kind of get people up to speed with where we are. I don't want to say that we need education for the space. Perhaps promotion would be a better way to kind of spread the message and what you guys are doing. But how do you get people to figure out what you are doing, like longer term? Like are you going to be focusing on the metaverse events and using community as that megaphone to help spread what's possible now with Charged Particles and NFTs? Or how are you thinking about making sure that folks really do start to ask themselves, like, is this NFT charged?
Yeah, so I can take that. I think, I mean, we launched last week, but the team, we talk often about this being more is viewed as a rollout. So the protocol is live. This thing has been in testing and in the back of Rob, the founder's mind for over a year and a half. So we weren't ready. I mean, the idea is to get it live, get it moving, get people using it, get feedback, start evolving and being agile with what features we add and how we position it and who our target audience is. So this will evolve. I mean, the community aspect is a very big thing. So like Mango said, we will be doing more community events, hopefully collaborating with the Token Smart guys, because that was pretty sweet. But yeah, just a lot of awareness. Anytime you have somewhat of a revolutionary new product or project, there's a lot of education that has to happen. So there's still a lot of education with the greater public on what is an NFT and why it has value versus just a right click and save. So then to take it the next level and say, okay, you get it. This thing has a value. It's called an NFT. Like now look inside of it because it might have tokens into it. Oh, and by the way, those tokens may be locked for different time periods. Like this is a big chasm to cross. So now that we're live, I mean, listening to the customers that we have and doing strategic partnerships and community events and really listening to the community on how this, because ultimately we're a protocol. So how this DApp and this protocol can be best suited to serve the needs of the differing set of customers. That's for sure.
Apologies if this is like a super noob question, but and just again, in terms of like getting hands dirty and everything, like, you know, I want to load up an NFT. Am I paying a separate gas transaction for each thing I'm loading up? And then like on the flip side of things, if I want to uncharge this NFT or, you know, get all the stuff out of it, do I pay one flat fee? Is it like a separate transaction fee for each time, or how does it like actually play out?
Yeah, not a noob question, and this is part of the problems with everybody operating on layer one. So, I mean, the creation of an NFT costs gas. We don't charge any fee. The deposit of an asset into an NFT, you have to first approve that asset, which costs gas. You have to deposit that asset into the smart wallet that the NFT holds. That also costs gas. We, as a protocol, don't charge any fees there either. Then your token is held by that NFT, and then to withdraw that, and then to time lock that asset, you would need to pay gas as well. And then to remove it, you would also need to pay gas. So, you know, the round trip costs, it's important to kind of take those into consideration before you decide to do these things. And it's a bit cost prohibitive if you're wanting to, you know, create an NFT and sell it for $5 and charge it up with $10. Like that doesn't make a lot of sense because of the gas costs. But you can put it in at a low gas cost and give it some time for these things, and it's okay. You don't have to prioritize it with high gas. So it is costly to do these sorts of things. So I do think that there is a niche of these. I mean, if you're creating a piece of artwork that you expect to sell for $10,000 and you fill it up with $5,000 worth of dye that's generating interest. Well, if you spend $200-$300 in gas doing this, you know, it's significant, but it doesn't torpedo the whole financials of that piece of work. So, I mean, we're looking heavily into layer 2 because I don't know if you guys have played around much on layer 2s, but it's fun again, right? You're like sending tokens around and it costs 1 guai, and it's a lot easier. That's for sure.
Yeah, the layer 2 experience is definitely what most consumers are probably expecting when they come to the space, in terms of just like relatively, if not costless, transactions and stuff like that. I also have like kind of a new question, I guess, getting into like actually using the project. So do you think, since you can deposit these interest-bearing assets into the NFTs and time lock them, are you seeing folks, or is the thought that most folks would kind of direct the interest-bearing aspect to like a charity or some like neutral third party? The only reason I ask is when I'm thinking about an asset that's been charged being traded to someone, almost a natural inclination is to kind of redirect the interest bearing asset to like my wallet or something like that. But I'm guessing that's probably a pretty complicated exercise to accomplish. What do you guys think?
Yeah. So, as I said, we stripped a lot of the features. So streaming the interest to a third party wallet actually was one of them. So right now, the streaming interest to the creator's wallet is an option, and we'll add the third party in. But this is set in the initial creation of it. And it doesn't really change as the asset changes hands. So it's interesting, which every time I say interesting, I think Mango made a ton of puns about it, making NFTs more interesting. But it is interesting. It is peculiar to, or it is a nice feature to have these artists getting a percentage of the interest generated for the lifetime of that art. It's a bit of a artist royalty stream, but yeah, the third party ETH address, we'll add that in and test it out. And in theory, yeah, I got to circle back on that on like how easy it is for the next person to change where that is directed and for what time period.
At the moment, I think right there, it's fairly straightforward. Just like another slider on the UI. With you've got the royalty choice. What percentage of royalties on resale and what percentage of the interest back to the artist's wallet. Just for the time being, and I think the time lock, I believe, is for 1 year at the moment. But I mean, it would be. I think there could be a case in which down the line you could maybe lock it for say like 50 years or something. And then like, does the art itself become more valuable because it's that piece that's got that thing locked away for 50 years, kind of like the opening the doors foundation or something like that in Isaac Asimov's movie, like the next generation is the one unlocking this NFT or something. Does the art piece itself get like a third layer of value beyond the speculative, beyond the intrinsic, just because of this unique sort of historical thing that's built into it as well? I don't know.
Dude, I would love to just like hang out with you guys on just like a speculation session or just like a brainstorming, like the craziest ideas that you could do with this concept. I mean, probably yes. I mean, who knows like how something like that would actually shake out, but it seems like how could stuff like that not, add value? It's certainly not going to detract value in any way, I would imagine. As we're sort of like winding to a close here, one of the things we always love to do is sort of like the shakedown, and just genuinely interested in what everyone else in this space is sort of like tinkering around with and like collecting on the side that doesn't necessarily have to do with anything of their primary focus of their like, current project or anything. So if you guys don't mind like flexing your collectibles or your wallets a little bit, would be interested to take a peek inside.
Mango, you want to kick it off?
Yeah, which we can go either way. I mean, my collection is, I would call, fairly humble, but it's pretty much someone I was speaking with earlier today kind of referred to the two of us as like NFT classmates. Like we came up together the same sort of 2 or 3 weeks, and the space moves so quick, it's like by 3 weeks on Rarible, you're a veteran, you're verified and explaining everything to people. So, there's this group of people that surrounds me that I sort of, see as my peers in a way. So I guess my collection is full of as much of their stuff as I have been able to afford throughout. When someone buys a piece of mine, I'll just go buy, a few people around me as well. Got some stuff on my Near wallet as well, from Paras. I don't know if you've heard about this platform. Pretty new art card trading platform on Near. So I've got quite a few things over there as well. Some pretty cool art cards. They just did a Chinese or Lunar New Year celebration. So got some some bull art cards and such. I've got 1 or 2 of the pieces from the rug pull pregame as well. I don't know if you know the Robin Schmidt's
the actual game. Got it.
Yeah, the rug pull experience. I was part of the group chat that happened prior to the launch itself of that art piece. A couple of Robin Schmidt's things. Yeah, that's about it.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I mean, I have my own podcast where I interviewed Jimmy from Avastar. So after that conversation, he kind of convinced me of the value of Avastar. So I bought a grip of Avastars at that point. I thought Hashmasks was a really interesting collaboration. So picked up a couple of those, and then additionally, some friends pieces just from the different artists that we've been working with. And honestly, like, I've been wanting to acquire more, but the prices are a little frothy at the moment, probably. But I've got my eye on quite a few pieces, and then I mean, the plan is to start picking up more of these charged particles and support the artists on our platform. That's for sure. I do have a lepton, which is our yield multiplier NFTs that we're selling from charged particles, which are pretty cool too.
Yeah, we haven't even talked about that at all.
Oh yeah. So good transition into the leptons. I mean, as a company, we believe in progressive decentralization, and we want a governance token, hand over the kind of keys to the ignition to the community at some point. So having a governance token is a key part of that strategy. So eventually we'll do a liquidity mining program, or a number of liquidity mining programs, where we will drip our governance token out to users, incentivizing them to do different actions on the platform. So we're selling these lepton NFTs, and what this does is it's an NFT that you deposit into your NFT that you're yield farming our governance token whenever it goes live, and it gives you a rewards boost. So you're receiving additional rewards in our governance token when you're yield farming. So they're pretty cool. We had a nice collab with some artwork artists. Mango did a lot of heavy lifting on that as well, but they're cool, tradable NFT cards that have this additional benefit of being a yield multiplier booster.
Cool. And then, well, I mean, naturally then, like, where should folks look for to learn more about lepton and charged particles, and where should they be following you for any updates, announcements, and things like that?
Yeah, so our Twitter is a pretty good place. So I think we might have the best Twitter handle in the Twitterverse. It's DeFi NFT. So Rob snagged that one before both were actually a thing. But it's a very nice one. So that's probably a good start. We have a Telegram announcement channel that we've just set up. We have an email newsletter. So it's kind of Discord, Telegram. It's kind of choose your preferred method of communication, and we'll be there. But Twitter's probably a good, easy place to start. So DeFi NFT, and then we have links to all of our landing page and dApps and all of the things that you need there.
The website itself, right, is app.charged.fi, and all the Lepton stuff has its own page on the front there. Pretty easy to navigate through. Can be right from the launch pad there.
There we go. Well, Ben and Mango, it was a pleasure to have you on the show to chat. Talking and going down the NFT rabbit hole never gets old, and especially when folks like yourselves are really pushing the bounds of what's possible with them and taking us into a really, really amazing future. So just thank you so much for taking the time to talk with us today, and keep on creating.
Awesome, guys. Thanks for having us. Really, really enjoyed it. And big fan of the community that you guys are building, and happy to be a part, and looking forward to the next event that we can throw together, because it was a banger.
Yeah, super duper fun. Looking forward to it for sure. And yeah, hit me up about some of those, sit down with a beer and brainstorm this rabbit hole, see what kind of other use cases we come up with.
Love that.
There we go. Later, boys.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys.
See you guys.
Hey everyone, Matthew here. Thank you for listening to today's show. I just want to remind everyone of this month's sponsor, Whale Street. Whale Street is the DeFi engine that powers NFT economics on a massive scale. They make huge currency swaps happen, or whale swaps as they're called, with very small slippage costs and without crashing the system. They also engineered the largest ever NFT bundle and fractionalized it into the historic B20 tokens. Whale Street is all about upside, so dip into the liquidity pools for rich rewards. For Beats Money, join discord.com/whale. That's discord.com/WHALE. And follow Whale Street on Twitter @Whale Street OFFL. Thank you, and see you next episode.